Thieves are targeting your vehicles to steal a very valuable part, and it's happening more often.
Really, no one has tried to attack this problem anywhere.
What they're after as Fox 13 News goes undercover in a sting to try to stop it.
This is the first day that Salt Lake County Health Department is offering Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines for kids over the age of 12. Why health leaders say pop-up vaccine clinics like this one makes such a difference.
I'm tracking spring storms here across the state. We're seeing lots of lightning, hail, and heavy rainfall, plus gusty wind in the forecast. Details coming up.
Your elected lawmakers about to spend over $1 billion in your taxpayer dollars. I'll tell you what they're spending it on.
Some Utah businesses are still having a hard time finding new workers. Coming up, find out what one local company did in order to attract new hires.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13's Live at 5 starts right now.
Thieves in Utah are targeting parts of your car to sell on the black market. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm Kelly Chapman. Fox 13's Haley Higgins joins us live now from Murray to show us an undercover sting operation catching people who are stealing catalytic converters. Haley.
Yeah, reports of stolen catalytic converters have skyrocketed within the last year. The metal can be sold for up to $400 at a scrapyard. And Fox 13 was invited into an undercover sting operation with a pilot task force that is trying to make a difference. In the parking lot of Home Depot in West Valley City, an undercover police officer buys 2 stolen catalytic converters.
The guy he's with is the person I warned you about.
Catalytic converters may not look like much, but they contain palladium, rhodium, platinum, titanium, and other precious metals. They're located under a vehicle and make up part of the exhaust system, and they can be stolen in as little as 2 minutes.
So they tried to cut it there, couldn't get it, so they tried again here.
Since 2019, reports of stolen catalytic converters rose 550% in Utah. In just the last few months of this year, 350 have been reported.
It's been getting out of hand, so much so that we had to figure out some way to attack the problem.
3 weeks ago, the Utah Attorney General's office partnered with DPS and local police departments in a pilot task force targeting thieves. They want to understand the inner workings of the black market, both from buyers and sellers.
We're told that really no one has tried to attack this problem anywhere, let alone here in the state of Utah. And so we couldn't just sit back and continue to let those numbers grow. We felt like we needed to do something.
Fox 13 News was there when investigators served a search warrant on this storage unit in North Salt Lake. Inside, law enforcement found 124 catalytic converters in various sizes, some even brand new. Investigators accused Zenit Begdanovic of buying stolen converters and shipping them out of state.
We believe that was only a drop in the bucket based on what he has turned over. He was definitely buying them from anyone all across the Wasatch Front.
In the first few weeks, 2 other men have been arrested for possible theft. More are expected as investigators and law enforcement go after the rampant problem. Now, investigators are also doing compliant checks with the scrapyards here in Utah to help them have a better idea as far as what's going on with these stolen catalytic converters. Reporting live in Murray, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Have you been outside? You can expect wind, rain, maybe even hail across northern Utah this evening.
That's right. It's springtime in the Rockies again, folks. And Allison, this is what we get.
Yes, absolutely. And what we're seeing right now for the evening commute, we're getting a thunderstorm that's moving through the Ogden area. This special weather statement will be in effect until 5:15 for the next 10 minutes. A strong thunderstorm is moving from east to west at 25 miles per hour. We are seeing pea-sized hail and also some wind gusts about 40 miles per hour. We're also hearing thunder and seeing lightning here across the region, especially at the north end of the Great Salt Lake near Dugway and then down towards southern Utah. Most of our lightning is west of I-15 between Cedar City and Delta currently. And we had some thunderstorms that moved through the Zion National Park area about an hour and a half ago. And then what we can expect the rest of the evening is most of this activity will be dying down once we lose our daytime heating. So come 7 to 8 o'clock. o'clock tonight, we're going to see less of this activity. Now, we have an area of low pressure, an upper level low pressure system right in southeastern Utah that's been moving slowly through the region, and that's why we're running into these problems. For tomorrow, a possible rating for Bryce, Capitol Reef, Escalante, San Rafael Swell, and also Zion National Park. That is a possible rating for flash flooding, so another good day tomorrow to be weather aware. We'll talk more about that coming up in the next full forecast.
More than 1,117,000 Utahns have now been fully vaccinated for COVID-19.
Salt Lake County is now offering vaccines to all Utahns over the age of 12.
Fox 13's Sydney Glenn is at a pop-up clinic in Rose Park for the first day of the Salt Lake City School District offering the vaccine to that age group. Sydney.
Bob and Kelly, this pop-up clinic opened about an hour ago, and since then it's just been a steady stream of people. This is the first time the district has been able to offer up this type of clinic where you don't need an appointment. Earlier today, we were able to talk to some of those younger aged kids as they got their vaccine over at Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy.
Actually, I feel pretty good taking my first dose.
With her eyes closed tight, 14-year-old JD Snow gets her first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Kind of feels good that I won't have to really stress about getting COVID anymore.
A wave of relief washes over JD's mom, Tina, who made sure her daughter was able to get the Pfizer vaccine the first day it became available.
I was super excited. I just wanted her to be able to get it so that we can be safe.
Just a few seats away, 12-year-old Azur Hancock bravely offers up his left arm with hopes of a maskless summer in mind.
Then I can, when I get my second one, I can play with my friends without masks.
Well, this is the first day Salt Lake County Health is offering up the vaccine to this younger age group. Other places have already started.
Most of my friends have actually gotten it before.
In Rose Park, cars line up for a quick drive-through shot. This time, the people getting the shot have to sit on the passenger side.
Ever since the pandemic started, we were actually, the zip code here, 84116, was very highly impacted with COVID. And so we want to kind of bring out the resources out closer to the community so that they can access getting the vaccines.
A spokesperson for the Salt Lake County Health Department says these type of pop-up clinics and people being able to walk into the mass vaccination sites seems to be helping increase demand.
It's been helping a lot in getting the vaccine to communities and populations that may not necessarily have access to public transportation or rides to come to one of the mass vaccination sites.
Back in Sandy, JD is already feeling less anxious as she prepares for school days without masks and a trip to Mexico.
I feel that having this, I wouldn't really feel like I'd get anything from it. I wouldn't be worried about it at all anymore.
People can come here and get their free COVID-19 vaccine until 7 o'clock tonight, and then tomorrow, same time, 4 to 7 again. Live in Rose Park, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thank you, Sydney. About 67,000 Utahns between 12 and 18 have received at least one COVID-19 vaccine. 10% of Utah children in that age group are considered fully vaccinated.
Bob, it's now been 1 week since the Pfizer vaccine was granted emergency use authorization for children 12 to 15 years old. And understandably, parents may still have questions about it. In a virtual news conference this afternoon, Intermountain Healthcare addressed several of those questions, including possible side effects that parents should watch for and the impact vaccinating younger children could have on the pandemic.
The benefits of getting vaccinated for 12 and up are really pretty clear. You know, we often talk about how children are at lower risk of severe disease, but low doesn't mean no risk.
For more information about how the Pfizer vaccine is being distributed where you live, go to fox13now.com. Today, Utah saw 164 new cases of COVID-19. There are currently 148 people hospitalized with the virus. More than 1/3 of them are in intensive care. A Utah County man died of the virus, bringing the total since the pandemic began to 2,259.
Meantime, President Biden says the United States is going to be the arsenal of COVID-19 vaccines. Today, he announced an increased effort to end the pandemic around the world. field. He's sending tens of millions more doses of all three mainstream vaccines out there, as well as the AstraZeneca vaccine.
This means over the next 6 weeks, the United States of America will send 80 million doses overseas. That represents 13% of the vaccines produced by the United States by the end of June. This will be more vaccines than any country has actually shared to date.
The announcement comes as many struggle with new mask rules in the U.S. The CDC recommended last week that fully vaccinated people no longer need to wear masks outdoors or indoors in most situations, leaving state and local governments and businesses scrambling to implement the new guidelines. Several businesses, such as Trader Joe's, Target, and Walmart, have dropped their mask policies for those who were fully vaccinated. Other retailers, such as Apple, Walgreens, and Home Depot, still require them.
Still to come, it is going to have a significant impact on your commute in one part of the Salt Lake Valley. See this massive UDOT construction project that started today.
And the drought could mean more black bear interactions this summer. What you can do to keep your family safe.
The Biden administration says it's working to de-escalate violence in the Middle East as more violence erupts for a second week. I'm Chad Pergram in Washington with the latest from the president. Coming up.
One of UDOT's biggest construction projects of the year started today. Crews are completely reconstructing I-80 and I-215 on the east side of the Salt Lake Valley. UDOT does plan to tear out and replace the existing pavement on I-80 from 13th East to 23rd East, and then on I-215 from 33rd South to 45th South. Crews will also replace 3 bridges at 13th East, 17th East, and 20th East.
I think there's going to be a lot of excitement around this because right now it's a bit of a bumpy ride, and the freeway was originally put in back in the 1960s. So to be able to go in, tear out the existing pavement, and then put in all new concrete, new bridges, I think that's going to be a great thing for many people.
That's a big job. The project is scheduled to be finished next year.
More people could find themselves facing black bears in Utah this year because of the drought. Utah DWR says as the state sees less water, less vegetation grows, and vegetation makes up about 90% of a black bear's diet. If they can't find food naturally, they'll scavenge. They'll usually get aggressive only when defending their food.
Bears are good at finding resources, and so when there isn't as much to eat in the landscape, natural food, they'll come finding things other places.
The DWR explains how to bear-proof your home and your campsite and what you should do if you encounter a black bear. Just go to fox13now.com. Millions of American parents are about to get hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars from the federal government. See how much you could get every month. In national news, millions of American families will start getting monthly checks soon.
It was today the Biden administration announced the families of more than 65 million children will start receiving enhanced child tax credit payments of up to $300 per child every month starting on July 15th. 88% of American children live in households that will receive the money. The funding is part of the president's $1.9 trillion coronavirus rescue package. Payments will be based on taxpayers' 2020 tax returns or their 2019 returns if the 2020 returns have not yet been processed.
An associate of Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz has pleaded guilty to 6 counts of soliciting sex from a minor. Joel Greenberg formally entered the pleas today. He is a former Florida tax collector. Greenberg admitted he knowingly solicited and paid a minor for sex. The guilty pleas are a part of a deal Greenberg made with federal prosecutors to help in an expansive sex crimes investigation.
It's always a significant event. It's an important event, but he's on the path towards rehabilitation, and he has a great deal of remorse.
Federal investigators are looking into whether Congressman Gaetz broke federal sex trafficking, prostitution, or public corruption laws. Gaetz has not been charged and denies any wrongdoing.
Still a mess here as drivers along the East Coast are still facing gas shortages after the hack of the Colonial Pipeline. The price of gasoline is also hitting wallets hard. In Georgia, about 40% of stations are out of gas, and the situation is worse in both North and South Carolina. However, the very worst place right now is Washington, D.C.
We're tired of it. I'm just hoping there's gas so that I can work the next couple weeks. So if I don't have gas, I don't work.
I'm gonna probably head across the street. I think there's another gas station.
It's out.
Oh, it's out.
Oh boy, many Americans will hit the road for the Memorial Day holiday in 2 weeks. At least they'll try. Some have already canceled their plans, citing the rising cost of fuel.
As the violence between Israel and Hamas enters a second week, the Biden administration is facing increasing pressure to call for an immediate ceasefire.
Fox's Chad Peregrine is in Washington with what the White House says it is doing to de-escalate tensions.
More violence on the Gaza Strip Monday as the Israeli military unleashed a wave of airstrikes, destroying Hamas militant tunnels and homes. In Washington, the latest attacks also unleashed a fresh round of calls among lawmakers for the Biden administration to do more. Dozens of Democratic senators are urging an immediate ceasefire. Senator Bernie Sanders made his case on Twitter, saying the devastation in Gaza is unconscionable.
We have to call for an end to this violence and condemn the loss of life on both sides.
There is no game plan from the United States, in my view, to make it end on terms favorable for Israel.
Mr. President, will you now insist upon a ceasefire given the escalation in violence we've seen over the weekend?
I'll be speaking with the Prime Minister in an hour, and I'll be able to talk to you after that.
Monday, the White House worked to defend its strategy, saying behind-the-scene discussions to de-escalate the violence are ongoing with the Israelis and Palestinians.
The most effective way we feel we can do that is through quiet and intensive diplomacy, and that is what our focus is on at this point in time.
During a news conference in Copenhagen, Secretary of State Tony Blinken stopped short of saying the U.S. would call for a ceasefire.
We are ready to lend support if the parties seek a ceasefire. We'll continue to conduct intensive diplomacy to bring this current cycle of violence to an end.
President Biden has deployed a special envoy to the region to meet with Israeli and Palestinian leaders. In Washington, Chad Peregrine, Fox News.
Well, maybe a stormy Monday where you are. Scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the state today. This was in St. George earlier today at Red Hills Parkway and 1000 East. You can see some puddles there forming on the road.
That's right. You can see, yeah, it's like motorboats going through through all that water.
It's so dry down there. Yes, and it can make for difficult driving conditions, and we'll have a story on this later tonight on some reflective stuff that's supposed to help us with our lines here in Utah. But the reason we're seeing the rain here across the state is this upper level low pressure system situated right near the Four Corners. We've been tracking this particular low pressure system that's been moving through very slowly from Central California through Las Vegas, now down towards the Four Corners for the last several days. So what we're seeing with this today, afternoon thunderstorms. We had the daytime heating, which allowed us to kind of fuel these fires. But what we do have going on right now, we had a strong thunderstorm that moved through the Huntsville area and Eden through Ogden, and that brought pea-sized hail and a wind gusting more than 40 miles per hour. Right now, where I'm seeing most of our lightning from Fairview down through Gunnison. We are seeing through Moroni right there some heavy rainfall. So with the strongest of these storms, we're looking at hail, some lightning, the gusty wind, and then the brief heavy rainfall. Right now across central Utah, we do have quite a bit of lightning from Milford down through Cedar City, and then along I-15 areas of spotty showers. Earlier this afternoon, we had the thunderstorms that rolled through a lot of our recreation areas near Bryce Canyon and also Zion National Park right near Springdale. Here's what it looks like in St. George right now on our camera with the cloudy sky currently. It's 76 degrees in St. George with your wind out of the northeast at about 15 miles per hour. Dark skies, Zion National Park. I am watching for some more chances for thunderstorms tomorrow, so still a good day to be weather aware. And in fact, I would just keep your eye on the forecast all week long, especially across eastern Utah here the next couple of days, in southern Utah with fire concerns. But right now here in Salt Lake, it's 71 degrees. Top weather headlines. We're going to have most of our thunderstorm activity through 7 o'clock, so for just a few more hours. Main threats, again, heavy rain, the hail, wind and lightning, and then we'll have fire warnings that return on Wednesday for southern Utah. What it feels like here across the state currently, most of us about 60 to 70 degrees. Now tonight, 54 here in Salt Lake, partly cloudy sky eventually, but the chance for some early thunderstorms. And for tomorrow, a high of 80 here in Salt Lake City. Now, the forecast for most of you as you wake up tomorrow morning will be drier than it is right now and cooler, obviously. But the rest of the evening, we see these showers really dying down once we get to about 7, 8 o'clock tonight. Then we'll see a little bit of clearing after midnight. And then by tomorrow afternoon, mostly for central and eastern Utah, where we have the chances for thunderstorms to pop up again tomorrow. So for Utah, the next couple of days, we're going to have this area of low pressure that moves off to our east. Our next storm off to our northwest. This moves into the region and then pretty much parks just to our west and doesn't quite make it to here in Utah over the next couple of days. However, we'll still see impacts from it. We'll talk more about that in the next full forecast. St. George 93 tomorrow, windy Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Highs will be in the 70s, 80s, and 90s over the next couple of days. We do have some changes coming. For the Wasatch Front, we're close to 80 through Wednesday, mid-70s for Thursday. Cooler for this upcoming weekend. Let's talk more about some chances for showers and thunderstorms, plus those fire warnings coming up later this hour.
The countdown is on if you haven't filed your taxes yet. What you need to know if you're doing your taxes at the last minute.
Plus, a controversial social media platform is back on Apple's App Store. How Utah Senator Mike Lee played a role in Parler's return.
People like that. People like the fact that they work and then they get their money recompensated right away.
And one local company is turning the traditional pay schedule on its head in order to attract new workers. We'll explain how they're doing it. Listen to this. To lead Money Watch today, AT&T has announced it will merge with Discovery.
This is a big, big merger. The two companies will join forces in, get this, a $43 billion deal. It'll create a new company overseeing HBO, CNN, TNT, and TBS, in addition to Discovery's Food Network and HGTV, among others. The new company will compete with Netflix, Amazon, Apple, Comcast, and Disney, all of which are assembling their own arsenal of original media content. The move is a major change for AT&T, which went against the Justice Department less than 3 years ago in an antitrust fight as it acquired Time Warner Inc. for more than $80 billion. The deal is expected to close by the middle of next year.
The app Parler is once again available in the App Store. Apple reinstated it for iPhone users today. The social media app was booted after people used it to post about and even organize the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. But you may recall, Utah Senator Mike Lee sent a letter to Apple, Google, and Amazon arguing that Parler was not treated fairly by the companies that had removed it from their app stores. Parler has agreed to make changes to its system, including updating its ability to detect unlawful speech.
U.S. stocks fell today, weighed down by declines among technology shares as concerns about inflation continued to unsettle investors. The Dow slid 54 points to close at 34,328. The Nasdaq dropped 51. The S&P lost 11.
The Utah State Legislature is going to meet in a special session, but the bigger issue is what's not on the agenda.
We paid money to travel to come do this, and so when I was supposed to do it, they said, sorry, and they wouldn't give a solution.
And wait till you hear why a local mother was not allowed to watch her volleyball team play at an out-of-state competition over the weekend. Utah lawmakers are about to spend a lot of money in a very little time.
Governor Spencer Cox is calling the legislature into special session to spend federal COVID relief money, and they're taking up a few other big issues.
Ben Winslow reports on what they will consider and some big issues they won't.
The governor sidestepped two very heated topics, opting to let it simmer until next year. But still, your elected lawmakers are going to spend over $1 billion on some big issues.
We're seeing the threat of COVID kind of move behind us, and we've got a great economy, and we've got money.
Lawmakers are gearing up for a special session to handle some big issues.
I think we've got some good things to address some of those needs.
The special session will extend the state of emergency for drought. They'll also consider a ban on mask mandates in schools, some tweaks to regulations on e-cigarettes. They'll also vote on a resolution condemning anti-Asian hate crimes.
A very important part of it is that it's pro-Asian American and Pacific Islander community.
But the governor declined to consider two hot topics, including a ban on critical race theory, the idea that racism is built into American society. He also declined to consider a push to declare Utah a Second Amendment sanctuary.
I would have liked to see them both on, but especially the critical race theory.
We're not having this in our curriculum anyways, K through 12, so it doesn't make sense to me to ban something that we're not doing.
The main event will be spending $1.6 billion in federal COVID-19 relief money. Taxpayer dollars will go to things like transportation and infrastructure boosts, including water infrastructure improvements, ongoing public health response to COVID-19, and arts and hospitality businesses impacted by it, expanding broadband internet across the state, money for education programs, money for the courts as they face a backlog in cases from the pandemic, and money for housing and homelessness issues. But lawmakers don't plan to spend it all now.
I think that gives everyone, including the public, not only more involvement but greater comfort in the way that the money is being expended.
And that special session of the Utah State Legislature will get underway on Wednesday. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Governor Cox floated the idea, but it looks like Republican leaders in the legislature are not in favor of offering prizes or money for vaccines. Came up in a budget discussion today. Utah House Minority Leader Brian King asked about the idea of incentivizing people to get the COVID-19 vaccine, but he was told it will not happen because majority leadership is not in favor of it. The governor floated the idea of spending money to encourage people to get the vaccine. Ohio is offering lottery money. Other states are offering free alcohol. Both of those are prohibited by Utah law.
Landon Copeland will remain in jail for now while he waits to be tried for his part in the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol back in January. The 33-year-old St. George man is being held in the Washington County Jail until at least May 26th. That's when attorneys will discuss whether he's competent to stand trial. He had been free until last week when he was rearrested for violating terms of his release. Copeland is accused of fighting with police during the riot. He is one of 5 Utah men charged with their alleged roles in the deadly incident.
Utah's Click It or Ticket campaign started today. 40 law enforcement agencies are putting in more than 300 additional shifts through June 6th as part of the annual safety initiative. Along with increased enforcement, Utahns will see billboards and digital ads encouraging seatbelt use. If you have been procrastinating getting your taxes filed, the clock has just about run out.
Oh boy, you have until midnight to get them filed, so a couple more hours. Some tax preparation offices are closing in just a matter of hours, however. And while we've had an extra month to file this year, tax preparers say that they are still plenty of people who have put it off until now. 5:30 on tax day. You can file for an extension, but that is an extension to file your taxes, not an extension to pay money you might owe for 2020. And for Utahns who did not have an income to report, you can still take action if you have not received at least one of your stimulus checks yet.
They can still basically fill out a short form just for the stimulus. And with this third one that just came out with the American Rescues Plan Act, this one is technically a 2021 stimulus, but basically people who still haven't received it, once they file a return, it does kind of put them in this queue to be eligible for that one as well.
Now, if you're expecting a refund, keep in mind the IRS has a backlog of nearly 30 million tax returns due to the pandemic. So it may take a little longer to get that money. So don't go out and spend it before you have it.
All right, good idea. Don't miss out on this. All right, a volleyball coach from Utah had to wait outside the Colorado Convention Center while her team dominated inside over the weekend. The reason, she said, had to do with her baby, whom she nurses. Listen to this.
The issue is she is under 16. The issue is she is not a player
is not a coach. Those are the only facts.
Dixie Loveless, owner of Mountain Peak Volleyball in Logan and head coach of the 14 national team, was told she could not bring her infant inside for the tournament.
We paid money to travel to come do this, and so when I was supposed to do it, they said, sorry, and they wouldn't give a solution.
It was really hard to do it without a coach, our head coach, but we pushed through it and fought for her.
Colorado state law says a mother may breastfeed in any place she has a right to be, but because this was a private event, the organizers set the rules for entry and no children were allowed.
Wow. Well, coming up, one local family will be speaking with Senator Mitt Romney and Congressman Blake Moore tomorrow, what they plan to discuss and how it could impact you.
And the Department of Workforce Services is trying to get more people back to work. Learn about their new program, which is making landing a job a whole lot easier.
And I'm tracking thunderstorms here across the state right now, and we're not done with the active weather quite yet. Your forecast is coming up. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
Happening tomorrow, a family of 4 from North Ogden will meet virtually with Utah Senator Mitt Romney and Utah Congressman Blake Moore as part of the annual Strolling Thunder event. Hosted by the nonprofit organization 0 to 3, Strolling Thunder connects families from all 50 states with their elected officials. It's a chance to urge them to prioritize legislation in things like child care and family benefits.
Policies that support babies and families are proven to deliver a return far greater than their cost.
The Ortega family from North Ogden was selected to represent Utah. They plan to discuss child care policies, which they believe will help many of Utah's working families.
Utah's First Lady spent today in southern Utah helping foster families as part of her Show Up initiative. Abby Cox and the Utah Foster Care Foundation handed out care packages to families who have taken foster children into their homes. Mrs. Cox says there are lots of ways you can show up for the children and their foster families.
What we can do is adopt the foster family, adopt the adoptive family by being one of their support network families. You can bring in a meal. You can help get kids where they need to be. You can do some housework for them, do yard work for them. You really wrap around these families that are fostering and adopting is the perfect way to get involved.
If you'd like to find out more about the Utah Foster Care Foundation and the Show Up initiative, go to fox13now.com.
It was kind of a no-brainer.
Coming up, find out what one local business is doing in order to remain competitive in the current job market.
With low unemployment and stiff competition in the labor market, businesses that are trying to rebound need to find ways to attract new employees.
Fox 13's Diego Romo spoke with a cookie maker who was trying to stand out by giving their employees a daily paycheck.
Thank you.
Of course. Like the vast majority of America's workforce, Kevin Wither was accustomed to the bi-weekly pay schedule. That is, until he started working for CHIP.
This is actually the first job I've had that does daily pay, but it's been super helpful for me, at least getting out of debt, coming out of college and all that stuff. So
he says receiving his pay on a daily basis has allowed him to take care of bills and pay off debt and be more flexible with his money.
It helps out a bunch, I think. Normally I have to wait like a week or two for my other jobs. This one, the next day I have my money.
CHIP's owner, Sean Wilson, says he decided to implement daily pay as an added benefit for his workforce.
It seemed like a natural fit to be able to give our employees something that they really needed in terms of getting paid sooner, and also our desire to want to give our employees that much more of a benefit for working for us.
Wilson says that daily pay is not only helping to attract new workers, it's also helping to retain his current staff.
It just shortens that cycle for when they receive benefit for the work that they're doing, and gives them an opportunity to use the money that they've earned and spend it on the things that they want to spend their money on.
The daily pay is made possible by another Utah-based payroll company called Every.
We set out to disrupt the traditional payroll cycle by paying workers as fast as they've earned their wages.
It works like this. Wilson pays Every $10 per employee per month and is in turn given a credit line by Every to help pay employees on a daily basis.
We pay their payroll every single day, and then they just settle up with us on their normal cash or payroll cycle to keep their cash flow consistent.
Wilson says the monthly fee is money well spent in order to give his employees financial flexibility.
We have to pay for payroll anyway, and so it was kind of a no-brainer in the sense that the cost was already going to be incurred in a large part.
In Salt Lake City, Diego Romo, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The trend of on-demand pay is not limited to small businesses. The Kroger Company offers a daily pay model to all of its workers. Research shows the on-demand pay market grew by 51%, or $3.2 billion between 2019 and 2020.
I can see the convenience in that. Well, today, the Department of Workforce Services launched a brand new campaign, all to help job seekers improve their career paths.
The program will provide short-term training assistance for occupational certificates and licenses, on-the-job training directly from employers, apprenticeships for classroom learning, and paid hands-on experiences and tuition assistance to complete a GED or college degree. We spoke with one Air Force veteran who lost her job during the pandemic. She turned to the Department of Workforce Services for help and says they made things much easier.
We set up meetings once a week so that we could actually come in and speak and prepare just in case. I did have to have an interview or just to kind of sharpen up on things in the job market.
Thanks to their help, that veteran you heard from now has a job at Northrop Grumman as a technical writer. DWS says they will help anyone and everyone who is looking for work, as well as employers looking for employees. If you want more information, we can link you over to their website off of ours. Just go to fox13now.com.
Well, we got plenty of rain down south, but the big question is whether it put any kind of a dent in the drought.
You know, we've had scattered showers here across the state, and we'll take what we can get, even though it's, like you said, it's really just a drop in the bucket at this point. But 71 right now here in Salt Lake City. We do have some thunderstorms still going here across northern Utah, but earlier this afternoon, they were a bit more widespread. Now that we're starting to lose some of our daytime heating, we're losing some of that fuel for these storms. So through the rest of the evening, between about now, 7, 8 o'clock tonight, we still have some chances for those thunderstorms, but those really drop off. They decrease a ton once we get to about 7, 8 o'clock tonight. So right now, Ephraim down through the Gunnison area, where we do have some little cells that are moving through, bringing small hail, gusty wind, and lightning across southern Utah. What we have going on currently right now is just mostly light rain north of I-15. But earlier this afternoon, we had become a bit more widespread east of I-15, a lot of our recreation areas. That becomes a concern this time of year because I know you guys want to get out and you want to do hiking, you want to go in all the fun places, but it can become dangerous. And the reason that we're seeing the current setup, it's not the typical flow where it's like from the southwest to the northeast for the storm direction. The reason that we're seeing it moving here across northern Utah from east to west, and then southern Utah from essentially north to south, is because of this area of low pressure and where it is located right now. So we're seeing counterclockwise motion around this, and the strongest storms off to our east. Middle of the week, though, fire becomes a big concern across southern Utah, so everywhere in hot pink, Lake Powell, all the way down through Washington County. And then we're going to see that up towards the Richfield area west of I-15. That's where we have red flag warnings in place Wednesday into Thursday. For tomorrow, still the chance for some thunderstorms, mostly across eastern Utah, the eastern half of the state. Just that mint green color that you're seeing, those are thunderstorms. Off to our east, though, some stronger storms up to level 1 or level 2 storms, even into Texas possible for tomorrow here across the country. Temperatures currently, it's around 60 to 70 degrees, so it feels nice out right now. But as you wake up here along the Wasatch Front tomorrow morning, mostly clear at 6 a.m. in the mid-50s. By 8 o'clock in the morning, back into the 60s with sunshine tomorrow morning. Next couple of days, tomorrow still hot, Wednesday still about 80, and then we are cooler for Friday and Saturday. So let's talk about this setup. So this area of low pressure, that's going to continue bringing us a few chances for showers through the rest of the evening. And as I mentioned, about 7 to 8 o'clock tonight, we will see those really dying down. Then that moves off to our east. So for tomorrow, still some spotty showers possible for eastern Utah. And then our next storm that we're going to see here moves in from the Pacific Northwest. Another low pressure system drops in, and it kind of just hangs out to our west. But we're going to continue with more chances for rain and snow even across the region come Thursday into Friday. So the rest of the week, just expect more pop-up thunderstorms the next couple of afternoons. Then that low pressure system moves up to the north. It doesn't even fully make its way here across Utah. So we will see ahead of that, since it's just going to be off to our west, that wind is really going to be pumping middle of the week for southern Utah. That's why we'll have the fire concerns. But first thing tomorrow morning, it'll be about 45 to 55 degrees. Highs tomorrow will be around 70 to 80 here across the state. St. George around 90. Mid-90s for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Look at that wind really gusting and that cool down. 20 degrees cooler Wednesday to Friday. This weekend around 75 to 80 for St. George. And for the Wasatch Front around 80 through Wednesday, mid-70s for Thursday, mid-60s for Friday. Our best chance for thunderstorms for the Wasatch Front will be Friday afternoon. However, be prepared for more pop-up storms here the next few afternoons, and our overnight temperatures around 45 to 55.
For the first time in franchise history, the Utah Jazz finished the regular season the best record in the NBA. The Jazz tied the Chicago Bulls for the best record in the 1997-98 season at 62-10. But this season, they finished alone on top at 52-20. Jazz clinched the #1 seed in the playoffs with a win over the Sacramento Kings. It's been a tough season with COVID-19 restrictions, injuries during this condensed schedule, but the Jazz made it out on top. And while the ultimate goal is to win an NBA championship, they were feeling good after last night's win, capped by a great song choice from Jordan Clarkson.
It's a great accomplishment. It's not our main goal. Our main goal is to get the championship, but you know, we still have to, you know, enjoy those moments and, you know, and be proud of, you know, of the year and of the work that we put in this year.
It's definitely a great feeling. Just because we know we put a lot into it this year, it just means a lot. But we know we got bigger goals, not just trying to be the #1 team in the NBA for the regular season. You know, we trying to, you know, play big time in the playoffs and do something special. So we got bigger fish to fry.
What song would you say describes your vibe and mood right now?
Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
I'm gonna go listen to that right now.
All right, that's all we've got. Thanks, Jordan. All right, there we go. Good way to end it. All right, thanks so much.
Yeah, all right, y'all.
He had it on his phone all queued up. Here's a look at the final standings in the Western Conference and the 6 teams that are in the playoffs. The Jazz finished 1 game ahead of the Suns. The Nuggets are the 3 seed, followed by the Clippers, Mavericks, and Trailblazers. We'll find out who the Jazz get in the first round later this week after the play-in tournament. Here's how it works. On Wednesday, the 7th seed Lakers will take on the 8th seed Warriors. The winner of that game advances as the 7th seed and will play the Suns in the first round. The loser of the Lakers-Warriors game will play the winner of the Grizzlies-Spurs game, and the winner of that game advances as the 8th seed and will play the Jazz in the first round. Here's how the play-in tournament looks in the East. On Tuesday, the Celtics and Wizards are matched up in the 7-8 game, and the Pacers and Hornets are matched up in the 9-10 game season. Playoffs start this weekend. We'll be right back.
Oh, this is picture print. You know, just so you know, this is a live picture right now. This isn't a postcard. This isn't.
Yeah, we need to get that live bug up there so people
where's
know.
the live bug? We gotta put that in.
We'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
We believe you, Bob. Looks pretty nice right now.
Gorgeous.
We had some rain, even hail in parts of the state earlier.
That's right. Yeah, a little bit of accumulation down there in southern Utah.
Yeah, and some parts of northern Utah too, and lots of hail.
Yeah.
Have a great Monday evening, everyone.
We'll see you back here at 9.